Always a pleasure to welcome our Daily Faceoff prospect analyst, Stephen Ellis, into the program. And let's start in the NHL, Stephen, where there are a trio of prospects we were talking about that are off to sluggish starts and maybe have some fans wondering about their potential. But there are three names that you are not worried about. Take me through them.
Well, I'm going to start with Anaheim's Cutter Gauthier, and that's a guy that we saw dominate in college the last couple of years. He did have a 2-assist night a couple nights ago. Yes, against the San Jose Sharks, so not the toughest competition there. But I think this is a player, from talking to people around the league, that many believe just needs just one or two really good games to really go out there and spark his confidence back up. Because we know when he's playing with confidence, he's unstoppable. We saw it at college. We saw it at the World Juniors. And I think that this is someone I'm not worried about at all. Rutger McGroarty, that's a guy I was really hoping would step in right away for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now he's in the AHL. Part of me wishes they just started him with Sidney Crosby or Evgeny Malkin and see what he could do, but didn't feel like, at least when I saw him play against the Toronto Maple Leafs, it felt like those opportunities just weren't there and he looked lost. That's a guy that just doesn't look like he's playing with any confidence right now. And I think that kind of goes back to the first time I saw him this year, which was at that Buffalo Prospect Tournament. And he was really good in that first game. And then it just looked like he got overshadowed by all these guys that are playing in the AHL now. And I think, again, I'm not too worried about him, and I'll explain why in a second. But then you go to Will Smith, and this is someone who the Sharks, they said early, we're going to not play him every single night. It's kind of like the Leo Carlson treatment. Let's go out there and ease him in when he needs to be, at a level that makes it easier for him to adjust. I was hoping we'd see more from him when Macklin Celebrini went down. We haven't seen him got a point yet. The reason I'm not concerned about any of these three players, it is very difficult to go from college to the NHL, especially when you're looking at a situation Will Smith playing on a team that doesn't give him a ton of support. I think with, the grind of, like, let's say the CHL, while someone like Cal Ritchie's able to go right to the NHL and look good, is the amount of games they play, 50, 60 games, no problem for a player like that. You're always doing something. We see year in year, every year, it's the college players that go, they're playing older competition. They spend more time in the weight room, but they're only playing 2 games a week. And that grind really gets these players, and they'll be the first to tell you that. So the reason I'm not concerned, it's way too early. They're still adjusting to the grind of the NHL. And I think all three are going to be very good players one day.
All right, let's talk about a lottery pick from 5 years ago. Alex Turcotte, LA Kings, 5th overall, 2019 draft. He turns 24 in February, which officially kind of ages him out of being a prospect, so-called. But when you look at Turcotte and the start that he's gotten off to this season, 4 points in 7 games, what part about that makes you feel like he's now finally arrived?
I think, you see, he's looked like a different player ever since we saw him in the preseason. And we've seen those, signs that he could go out there and be a good producer. I think the one thing was COVID kind of really screwed things up with his development there, where another year in the NCAA would have really helped. Another year at the University of Wisconsin. However, he did get to play in the AHL that following season, which he wouldn't have been able to do in any meaningful capacity had he stayed in college. But from there, all the injuries, last year, I believe, was the first time he played 50 games since his junior career. So that's a long time ago now at this point, when you look at a guy who's 23 years old. I think this year he's healthy. He's looking good. He's getting those opportunities. He's not playing a ton of ice time right now, but he's going out there and getting pretty favorable matchups, and the points are starting to show. So this is kind of a make it or break it year, but the way he's playing right now, we're looking at someone who could go out there and get 50 points this year, which would be huge for both him and the LA Kings.
What's his ceiling? What could Turcotte be?
I think we're looking at, at best, maybe a second line player at this point. I think the amount of time he's missed is hard to kind of overcome, but he's still physically strong out there. Like, he is out there landing hits. He is hard to take the puck off. He's not huge, but he's got that muscle. And I think that with that confidence, again, I keep using that word, but that is so important for young players, because you need to be able to prove to yourself that you can do it. And I think now that he's playing healthy, he might not be as concerned about getting sent down to the AHL anymore. This might be an opportunity for him to relax and focus and become a decent second line player.
Next player I wanted to talk about was Lane Hutson, who's getting some interesting kind of reviews. He's kind of become a bit of a meme for opposing fan bases to throw at the Habs. But although he doesn't have any goals, he does have 4 assists. -5, what have you made of Lane Hutson's start to his NHL career?
It's been a lot of fun. I think, we knew heading into the season that this was going to be an opportunity for him to go out there and make mistakes. And people didn't have a reason to be too concerned about it because the Montreal Canadiens are not a playoff contender. And there's been a lot of mistakes. Let's be clear about that. And you look at him and the fact that he's leading all Montreal Canadiens players in ice time at 23 minutes. He's playing the power play. He's getting all these opportunities. We see that skill. We see him out there outthinking some quality players. Eventually, the opponents are going to start to figure out what he's doing and try to slow him down. But I think when it comes to this, I want to see a guy who just ease his ice time down. He's still a rookie. You don't need to play him over 20 minutes every single night. Let him go out there, play maybe more favorable matchups, and see what happens from there.
Steven, as always, man, really appreciate your time. I know we're out for today, but next week, a couple of really interesting prospects from outside the NHL we're going to get your take on, so people can stay tuned for that. Thanks for popping on.
Thanks so much.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.